Hey guys, we're back here on GTTV. Now, in March, Lara Croft is back in Tomb Raider, but here in Las Vegas, the team at Crystal Dynamics announced that multiplayer is coming to the game. And right now, I'm here with Noah and Daryl from Crystal to tell us about this new mode. So obviously, some of the fans may be a little skeptical, saying, multiplayer now in this game? Why did you guys think it was important to add MP?
Well, we saw it more as an opportunity than something that was important or necessary. And in fact, our audience really commonly asks for multiplayer experiences. So this idea that we were both excited about the idea, and our audience quite often really wanted to play in this world together.
Kind of an evolution as well, because we have done co-op, and that was something that we started down this path.
Which a lot of people loved.
With Guardian of Light. So we started down this path with co-op, with Guardian of Light, and we said about the franchise, we wanted to try new things. And with Guardian of Light, you could see we were trying new things, and we wanted to not hold back and be afraid to actually say, let's try, see whether it works and see whether we like it. And with Guardian of Light, it was so well received. We knew that we had a fan base that actually did enjoy playing together. Right. And as we evolved from Guardian of Light to this, it just felt like that natural next step.
And this time around, we actually had the opportunity to partner with IDOS Montreal, which allowed us to hand over the reins to some extent, for them to really own that and drive it. And we collaborated a lot because the mechanics in single player, the worlds in single player, the atmosphere, the traps, all these, the zip lines and climbing axes, all of that were, started in the multiplayer or in the single player experience, and inspired what would this be like to be doing this together on the island. So Montreal was able to sort of take those aspects and build an experience for people to have together on the island.
Now, Daryl, this, because it's a third-person action game, I'm sure you've got a lot of verticality of the maps, you've got a lot of cool, abilities that Lara has in the single-player game. How do those translate over to the survivors in the multiplayer?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, as Noah's saying, I mean, we have all these abilities in the single-player game, and it makes the single-player game unique, but as we put them into multiplayer, it was awesome to get to try these things. The verticality in particular, the climbing axe, the traversal, the vantage points, all these things that we can use because we have such a flexible character that we can actually apply that to multiplayer, and it gave us a lot of design opportunities, a lot of scope and flexibility to actually try new ideas in a multiplayer map.
Now, you can do a lot of fun things in multiplayer. You guys have been playing it here today. What are some of the amazing fun things that you guys have been able to do in multiplayer that you think are going to sell people on why this game is going to be so fun to play?
Well, I mean, one of the things that's exciting for me is kind of that sense of survivors surviving together. Right. So what we have on display today is a rescue mode where really the survivors, if they don't work together, they're going to lose to the scavengers. The scavengers have
survivors versus scavengers?
Yeah, and so for me, this idea of an asymmetrical mode where rather than each trying to do the same thing, the survivors are really trying to get these med packs back to their rescue point, and the scavengers are doing everything they can to stop them. But it's really this opportunity for the players to work together. We have sort of a bleed out situation where if one survivor's knocked down, there's that period of time where another survivor can come help them. So for me, I think what I like most playing today is when you're on together as a team, and you're doing your part in it, and the other person's doing their part in it, and obviously you bring home a win.
And do different survivors have different abilities?
No, there's a broad set of loadouts, gear, abilities, a lot of stuff that was inspired by the single player game, but even a lot of stuff beyond that. And so what people are able to do is pick a character, but then customize the loadout to their liking. Having said that, there are some differences between teams. Right. So the survivors themselves are differentiated by loadout, and the teams themselves are differentiated by mechanics and loadout.
For me, I think some of the cool things are bringing the character of the island across to multiplayer. Right. So we have these game changes in there where there's big events that actually happen on each of the maps. In the one that we're showing today, there's a sandstorm that comes across, so you can actually initiate as a player, and you get a tactical advantage for that, where you can actually use survival instinct. You can see other players through it, whereas the other team, they're covered in sandstorm, they can't see you. So it's cool to actually use some of the elements we've really.
Isn't there like a thing where there's a lightning rod? You can stick that down and strike people with lightning.
Yeah. So and that's cool traps and that kind of stuff.
Traps are probably
the most you're not going to get in most other third-person. What are some of the traps? Tell us about this.
Well, we've got. I think my favorite is the snare trap, where you actually get strung upside down and then the whole world upside
Spikes.
down. And then you can be rescued by your friend, or you can choose between defending yourself or freeing yourself. You mentioned sort of the environmental elements. We tried to do that on each of the maps, of have sort of a flavor. And that, again, is just something that came from the single player, where the island's personality, as Daryl mentioned, but just the atmosphere, the weather, and having that affect gameplay was something that was true in single player. And we were like, hey, that would be a cool thing in multiplayer. So these become kind of the personalities of the map that allows not only each mode to play a little bit differently, but each map to play a little bit differently.
All right, very cool. What is Tomb Raider multiplayer? Comes in every copy of the game this March, and we will see you guys online.
All right.